So I wanted to talk a bit about something I'm a huge fan of when it comes to HR generally, but also particularly in small businesses, and that's having sensible conversations. Something about treating your employees as grown-ups and just having a sensible conversation with them, and more perhaps than we realise, that can be a really useful tool. I think sometimes people get a bit panicky about, the kind of process you have to follow, or not saying the wrong thing, or any of those things. And I think sometimes just actually having a sensible conversation is definitely the best way to go. A couple of examples of that. I had a wonderful client who was doing some recruitment, and she was recruiting for a post that involves going onto client sites a lot. And a Muslim candidate came along, a gentleman Muslim candidate, and she said he's fantastic, but I'm a bit concerned about how I can help him with his prayers that he needs to do when he's on a client site. I can do it in the office, we can make arrangements, that's all fine, but I can't control what happens on a client site. What should I do? And my advice was just talk to him, just say, this is a situation, I have limited control. Do you have any ideas about what we could do? Just ask somebody if they might need a reasonable adjustment for something, whether it's a religious thing or a disability or whatever it might be. Actually just ask them, because the best person to know what that might be would be the person themselves. So she did, and he came up with a brilliant solution, and it was absolutely fine. There were similar things to do with, perhaps returning from maternity leave. I've had a client who, while someone was off on maternity leave, things changed in the business and they just didn't have enough of that kind of work left to offer the female employee the hours that she'd been working before. I think she was full-time. And I said, well, do you know what she wants to do? Because obviously lots of women do want to come back on part-time hours after maternity leave anyway. Why don't you just have a conversation with her and say, look, this is the situation, this is the problem we have, what were you looking to do? And actually see if you can come to something that suits both of you. And they did, and that was great. And I've got so many examples of that, and it just kind of reinforces to me how powerful just having a sensible conversation with an employee can really be in kind of reducing that angst, dealing with the problem you've got, and keeping everybody happy actually, rather than dragging everyone through a procedure or leaving something longer because you're worried to bring it up. So just have some sensible conversation with your employees, and it can take you all sorts of places.